guys! So I wanted to make a different type of video today and take questions on what it's like to stream on Twitch and make YouTube videos. I feel like I have a lot of advice I can give, but I also wanted to ask for specific questions to see what pain points you guys might have. I took all these questions from Instagram, so if you're not following me there already, go do so. I do quite a lot of FAQs on my Instagram stories because I get bored and just want to answer some questions. Before we get into the real questions, I got a lot of questions that don't make sense, so I'm gonna answer those first. First time dancing a song, will you have a new video? What? Upload every week. No. I think guides is very enjoyable and useful. Thank you. Dance and why? I actually don't know how to answer that, to be honest with you. Do I do the meme review? Sure. 1. Am I number 1? Thank you. And last but not least, I love you, Avery. I love you too. All right, let's get into the real questions. You guys are so weird. How do you connect a webcam to record your live streams? So what might help a little bit more is I actually have a YouTube video that teaches you how to set up your OBS for Just Dance streams. It's pretty easy on Streamlabs OBS and normal OBS. You basically just add a video capture device and it'll be your webcam that's plugged into your computer. What is a good start for YouTube? So I get vague questions like this all the time, and the truth is, it's best to just sit down and think about what kind of content you want to make. Just knowing that you want to make YouTube videos is a good start, but you have to actually know what kind of path you want to go down. So I would really recommend just sitting and thinking about what your dream channel would look like. What kind of videos would you be making that would make you super happy to make? How long does it take to set up a stream? So if you're talking about setting up the equipment for stream, it's taken me forever. Every time I move, it takes me probably a couple days to get everything properly set up. On a day-to-day basis, I give myself about an hour to get ready for stream, to pick out my outfit and do makeup, make sure my internet's not pooping itself, make sure OBS and everything else is working fine. And then that gives me time to get my going live posts ready. I usually get those ready about 15 minutes beforehand. What's your number 1 tip for keeping the momentum going and staying motivated as a creator? This is really tough in a creative field to stay motivated. What keeps me motivated is seeing people who do what I love doing and are super successful at it. So when it comes to like a lack of motivation as a streamer, I often watch my friends who are killing it on Twitch. If I'm lacking motivation as a dancer, I'll watch my favorite dancers on Instagram or on YouTube. I personally love Jade Chenoweth and Casey Rice. They're some of the most talented dancers out there right now, and they're like way younger than I am. Watching other people be stupidly good at what I love to do always gets me pumped up. I find it hard to be consistent. How do you motivate yourself to stream? Consistency is really hard when you have a family, kids, a job, maybe you go to school. It can be really hard to fit in streams with all of that. For the first year and a half that I streamed, I worked a normal 50-hour-a-week job. I would wake up super early, take the bus to my work. During my breaks and like my lunch break and stuff, I would often like check on my channel and see what I could edit or see if I can change any panels or make a graphic. Take the bus home, scarf down dinner as fast as I could, and then immediately go stream. To be honest, the best thing you can really do is push yourself to a new limit. Obviously, listen to your body or your mind when you're exhausted. If you need to take a break, then take a break. But the truth is, when you have everything else going at once, if you really want to make content and be successful off of that, you have to push yourself. How did you become a streamer? So some of you might know that I competed in the Just Dance World Cup. It's basically Just Dance esports. Back during the first year when they announced it, I saw it on Facebook and I was like, oh, that'd be pretty cool. Like, I love this game, but I don't think I'm really that good at it, so I'll try it anyway, you know, just for fun. After the first weekend, I was number 1, and I was kind of just like, am I good at this? So I ended up qualifying, fast forward 3 months, and I fly to Paris to compete in the grand finals. While I'm there, they have a Twitch booth, and they're like, we need someone who speaks English to commentate the Just Dance World Cup. So I put myself forward, because I figured, why not? I didn't know anything about Twitch. I knew that there was some like live esports stuff on it, but other than that, I didn't really know what it was. And after we got done commentating, I was like, this is really cool. Like, this is a medium where you're not editing anything. Everything is totally live, totally raw. You're just there with the people that are watching. So when I got home, I talked to my friends about it and they were like, oh yeah, Twitch is awesome. Like, they had watched League of Legends streamers a lot. Once I figured out that PS4 had like a really easy streaming app, I just tried it. I had some friends to help me set it up and hang out with me during my first stream, and it was the funnest thing. And the rest is history. What equipment did you need when you first started streaming on PS4? When I first started, I had the PlayStation camera to capture me. I had the game, of course, and I had an Ethernet cable to plug from my PlayStation 4 to my router so I could get the best, most stable connection. For the first like 4 months, I actually didn't talk on the microphone at all because I was so scared. I had like terrible social anxiety, which obviously doesn't exist anymore because I'm extremely loud and annoying. But once I got through that and I started talking on the mic, I got a pretty decent USB microphone. How do you motivate yourself to dance? I'm a dancer and I struggle to be motivated. I feel this a lot, especially if you're in a position where you're hearing the same songs over and over and over again. Like if you only play Just Dance, I think eventually you're like, all right, I've heard this song way too many times. I can't do Rasputin again. I'm over it. My biggest advice to you is to find a way to mix it up. If you're a hip hop dancer, go take ballet classes and try that. Find some sort of way to give yourself a challenge that you know will push you a little bit further. I also think the toughest thing about staying motivated as a dancer isn't the actual dancing, but it's getting up to go do it. I seriously struggle sometimes to get out of bed and actually get ready for stream and put on my makeup, but once I'm actually dancing, I'm super happy. What camera do you use? So I use a 4K camera. I have a Panasonic Lumix GMC did I get that right? DMC GX8. But for the first 3-ish years, I used a Logitech C920. It's a pretty standard webcam for content creators and Twitch streamers, and I swear by it. Staying motivated when perhaps you're not earning or gaining growth from it. This is tough. The best thing you can really do is try new things, especially if you're in the beginning phase where you've just started and you're really not sure where to go. Try everything. If you're streaming on Twitch, try creative, try just chatting, try co-streaming events, try different games that you normally wouldn't play. Honestly, this is the best time for you to branch out and try new things. Also find different ways to promote your stream. Make sure you're promoting them on Twitter or Instagram. Also, something I mentioned before was that I actually had friends hang out the first couple times I streamed, and it helped get over that hump of like there's no one in chat and no one to talk to. It helps a lot. Tech issues, especially for streaming Just Dance. There is always going to be tech issues, always, and it sucks, and I hate to admit it, but any tiny little Windows update can completely screw up everything. My go-to when something stops working randomly is to check my drivers. I have an application called Driver Easy, and it not only checks all of the drivers of your software, but of your hardware as well, and then updates everything that needs to be updated. So make sure you're checking your drivers often because it's really important. If that doesn't fix it, I Google it. That's basically my answer. I Google everything. I'll also ask my friends who also stream or make content if they've ever run into that sort of issue before or if they have any advice. Worst comes to worst, taking it to a PC repair shop helps. Sometimes I just give up and I'm like, I'll just let someone else figure it out. How did you use the Just Dance music in the Spotlight videos? Did you have to ask Ubisoft for permission? Yes. The Just Dance team has been amazing to me. Anytime I need any sort of asset or music or whatever, they're more than happy to provide it. Anytime I have any sort of like special video I want to make, or in the case of the center stage spotlights, when I have like a big project I want to work on, they've always been amazingly helpful. I'm also a part of their influencer group called the Just Dance Squad, and a big perk of that is that you get to connect with them on a deeper level and ask them for permission to use stuff like that. I think they take applications like once a year, so I would keep an eye out. Content plans for 2019? I got plans, but it's a secret. How does someone get the confidence to start making content? Unfortunately, making content and getting confidence is give and take. Of course, you need confidence to actually press the button to upload that video or press the start streaming button. But at the same time, the more that you make content and the more that you stream, the easier it gets. I gotta be honest, when I started streaming, I had like the worst social anxiety. Just the thought of talking on the phone would just completely bring me down. Like if I knew someone was scheduled to call me in like 10 minutes, I would just be so nervous for that 10 minutes. Once I finally forced myself to talk on the microphone, even though I was uncomfortable, the more I did it, the easier it got. You kind of have to force yourself out of that comfort zone so that it's not uncomfortable anymore. Something I also really recommend is watching your own videos or streams. If you have some sort of audio issue, or maybe you say or like all the time and you had no idea and it's something you want to fix, you wouldn't know it unless you watched your videos. It can be really uncomfortable, especially hearing your own voice. It's super weird, but you kind of have to push that through so that you can get the best quality. My friend Mav also did like a Twitch tips video, and she mentions this, and she says something that really makes a lot of sense, which is, if you don't want to watch your own videos, why would anyone else want to watch your videos? What equipment did you first use to stream to get things off the ground? I actually just started with PS4, and that's all I had. Of course, I added like the USB microphone later on and like had the Ethernet cable for a good internet connection, but I just had the game and my PS4. I think a lot of new people think that you have to have like the best equipment to get viewers and keep them and build a community and stuff. And the truth is, as long as you're entertaining and you're cultivating that community, you'll do just fine, regardless of like what sort of potato internet you have. I actually got partnered on Twitch while I was still streaming from the PS4, so it really doesn't matter. What tags do you use on YouTube for your videos? I feel like tags are very important. Tags are super important. I use a lot of tags in my videos, like dance, choreography. I'll put like the song name and the artist in depending on what song I'm uploading. I'll put Just Dance 2019. Just make sure that the ads you're putting in are relevant. I think putting in like dance or dancing is fine, but don't put like girl, hair, eyeball. Like if it's irrelevant, it really doesn't need to be there. I wanted to start streaming soon. What do you recommend as startup equipment? I started on PS4. You can also start on like a new-ish laptop. Honestly, it kind of depends on what you want to stream. Streaming Just Dance is a little more complicated because you have to have a capture card and you have to have the console and the game. Whereas if you're just looking to stream like PC games or something, then you would just need your PC. In terms of like good startup equipment, I really recommend like a Blue Yeti microphone. They're fairly cheap. They're not the best microphones around, but they're pretty cheap and they're decent enough quality. And the Logitech C920 is a fantastic webcam. How do you always maintain a positive attitude and mindset? Oh, I don't. I try to stay as positive as possible. It can be really tough with like the tech issues, or maybe like I lost a ton of subs or something. Like it's kind of hard to push through that. But the truth is, I try to remind myself that like 2 years ago, I was working a job that made me miserable. I was working a job that I dreaded going into every day, and now I get to do what I love every day, and I'm so lucky for that. I also used to just be such a terrible person. Like, I used to just crap on everyone. I would make fun of people for whatever reason. Like, I was just such a negative person. And the truth is, when you act like that and you treat other people like that, you're basically telling them, I'm sad. Like, you're basically telling them, I don't like an aspect of my life, so I'm gonna project that onto you instead. And the truth is, like, being nice and being positive makes me feel so much better than being mean ever did. I'm not a very like spiritual or religious person, but I do believe that what you put out there comes back to you. So be nice to each other. How do I not feel nervous in front of the camera? Whenever I try, I always sound like a baby learning to speak. Oh, I just imagine you like, this might not be the answer that you want, but you have to practice. That is the best way to get over it. I mentioned this earlier about my social anxiety and how I forced myself to start using the microphone so that I could push through that. And now I'm like the most loud, obnoxious person that I know. You could always try like a practice run where instead of recording, you just sit in front of your camera with it not recording and talk like that and see if that works. But my biggest advice is just to plop yourself down in front of it and go. Is it worth the time to create fresh content for YouTube versus reusing Twitch with chat interactions? So if you watch my YouTube channel, you know that it is mostly like highlights grabbed from my Twitch streams and put onto YouTube. Honestly, most of the time I just don't really have time to make special videos for YouTube like this anymore. The only time I really make an exception is when I have like a big idea like I wanted to do with this one. I've been making YouTube videos for 4 years, so I want to impart some wisdom if I can. I don't think there's anything wrong with taking content from your Twitch streams and putting it on YouTube. However, I strongly advise against just taking the entire VOD and just clunking it onto your channel. If all of your videos are like 8 hours long, no one's gonna watch them. I really suggest just taking highlights from the streams and putting them together into a montage. I honestly don't see anything wrong with that. But of course, if you feel inspired and you want to do a special video where you're talking to the camera, I don't see anything wrong with that either. The best part about making content is the ability to be creative and do kind of whatever you want. So exercise that right to your best ability. What's the best lighting equipment to use with a Logitech C920? So I'm going to be completely honest with you. My first 2 years of having the Logitech C920, the only lighting I had was the light in my ceiling, which is bad. Honestly, like, I don't even have softbox lighting or anything. I have two Target lamps on each side of my camera. Those work just as fine. I really don't recommend just having one light right in front of you because it can cast these kind of weird shadows. Having two lamps on either side really helps like even everything out. But just normal lamps are fine. Brainstorming. This one can be a bit tough. I personally recommend taking hot baths and staying as far away from your technology as you possibly can. Hot baths are really good for just like forcing you to relax. The heat just like makes your muscles like melt and you just sit there and you're kind of like dead and you're like, this feels so good. Being away from technology helps a lot because it lets you just sit and think about what's really important. For me, I also try to visualize what my ideal channel would look like, what kind of videos I'd be making, what kind of streams I'd be doing, what games I'd be playing. Just sitting alone with yourself in a peaceful setting helps a lot. But for you, that might be different. It could be taking a walk. It could be reading a book. It could be looking out the window. Just find whatever makes you peaceful. What capture card do you use and is OBS the best way? So the capture card that I use is an Elgato 4K 60 Pro. It captures gameplay at 4K, so honestly, it's really not that necessary. I just kind of got it because I wanted to future-proof my content. I super strongly stand by an Elgato HD60S. It has really low latency. I have one for like portable streams. If I'm traveling, it's fantastic. I think for a beginner, I would recommend Streamlabs OBS over normal OBS. Streamlabs OBS has everything integrated. It has the chat, it has your alerts, it has your event list, everything is all in one place. OBS Studio is a little more complicated, but I prefer to stick with OBS Studio because it's what I know. And Streamlabs OBS lacks a couple functions that I need, like delaying my gameplay and my audio, or using certain buttons for push to talk. But for beginners, I still recommend Streamlabs OBS. It's pretty good. How many years have you been on Twitch? I've been streaming for 4 years and I've been partnered with them for 3 years. How difficult is it to stream? That is a really loaded question. When you stream, you are your own boss, your own manager, your own HR, your own PR, your own marketing, your own artist. You are everything. It is your business. It is your baby. That can bring about a lot of stresses. Tech issues can be really frustrating. Relying on other people to help with your channel, like if you've commissioned an artist, can be difficult if the artist isn't reliable. Taxes are particularly confusing as a streamer or a content creator. But the truth is, every little stress is worth it. Even though it is a tough job, it is still the best job. I think about all the jobs I worked at before I started streaming full time. And I think about how lucky I am to be doing this, regardless of tech issues, regardless of if my computer just straight up exploded, regardless of if my internet is down. I am still one of the luckiest people on the planet because I get to do what I love every single day and pay my bills by doing it. I don't think by any means it's the hardest job ever, not by a long shot. But it's definitely not easy. It's definitely not just sitting in front of your computer and playing video games. There's so much more to it. To me, I view it kind of like hosting a party, right? You have to mingle, you have to make sure everyone's happy, you have to feed them and accommodate them and make sure they have everything they want to have fun. Because if they're not having fun, they're not gonna be there. Streaming is difficult, but it's totally worth the difficulty. Thank you guys so much for submitting questions. I hope I was able to shed a little bit of light on what it's like to make content. Honestly, I take questions like this all the time on Twitter and Instagram, so if you want to go follow me there, feel free. If you still have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments as well, and I'll try to answer as many as I can. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.